Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 83rd episode of the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins, here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Collins. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing all right. Nothing too sad going on in this life currently, so generally okay. Smoothing things. Got an interesting episode. A lot of things to talk about, I guess. Shady's like, no, I need to sleep.
This is a 20-minute in and out adventure.
Yeah, in and out adventure. Yeah, 20 minutes copium. We
Anyway,
always shoot for low times and we never make it. So I don't think this one's gonna be too different. But we can definitely get started on the first topic, which would be the weekly overview. Just kind of how was your week, Shady? How did it go?
good. I have not no pressure, but I have extremely low pressure. So I've been doing a lot of funky stuff in my games, and
I
I've
like
got
funky
to
stuff.
yeah,
Big
yeah,
fan
lots
of
of
it.
like like keep 2 scouts on my board for 2/6 drops and shit like that, and like
Does that work? Tell me it works,
yeah,
Shady.
yeah,
Tell
no,
tell me
I
it's a
won.
great idea that I should be
I
doing every
destroyed
game.
that. The cool thing is that I was Edwin. So that game was
Uh,
so funky because so I took lose 2 to get Zerus as well. So it was like Giga Greed, right? So I lose those two. It's because I'm got scouts on my board, so I don't have to try to lose. I lose anyway. But then after those two,
uh,
I just start buying cards and pumping with the hero power. So
yeah,
I start winning. Right.
right.
And then I'm an Edwin that's winning. I just have those scouts on my board and then ding 2/6 drops, and then I'm just like Felbat Theodore popping off. So it was a very that's what I say, like just creative, funky game. I had a couple of those games where I was like 4-on-4 with a Nixia with the loose. Well, that's funny. There was two particular games. I don't take the loose quest very often, but those were two funky games where I had like lose 3 to get 2 pirates.
Lose
And
quest
I
is so good for me, Shady, because I always lose it.
well, I went straight to 4 with an
Uh,
Nixia. I was like, oh
yeah,
fuck it. If we're losing, then let's lose.
yeah,
So, anyways, cool games because I don't really feel that much pressure,
right.
so I'm willing to
To take the
take
risky
a
lines.
weird yeah, not even I guess risk is a good word, yeah, but it's not even something where I know that it's gonna be that risky or not. I'm just like, let's explore this. Let's see
Okay,
what
so
happens.
you're just experimenting, trying things that are like, I've never
Yeah.
tried this before. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see what happens if I,
Let's see.
take 2/6 drops with these scouts and be like, "Oh, that's pretty good." Yeah. So, and, what about you, Collins? How have your Hearthstone Battlegrounds adventures been this week?
What Hearthstone?
Alright.
So my family came. That kind of took a couple of days where I wasn't doing anything. I have the esporter class. It takes another day, and then the other days I've been playing Snap, for a bit, which has been fun for now. I definitely think there's like a drop off. Like if you play, once you get past Collection 600, this is not going to make sense for people who haven't played Snap. But once you get past Collection 600, you can fight people at any collection level,
Yeah.
essentially. So I've done that yesterday, and I'm like, everyone has everything. Like, all the cards except for me. I'm playing with my struggle deck. It's not a bad deck though. Like I could still win. It's just like significantly harder because like I'm just like, well, are they playing these like? Are they playing Death Wave? They actually have the deck right. Before I passed that, you like they had good cards, but like it's not like their whole deck is like broken cards. Now you can
Yeah.
fight people who their whole deck has broken cards, and I knew that was
It's
gonna
broken
happen.
parts the whole time.
So it's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
little bit awkward. So definitely not as easy because the fairness isn't there anymore. Before with under 600, you fight people very similar. So it's like, well, I know what cards you could play. You know what cards I could play. So I just have to beat you. Now it's like, well, they can play any of 100 cards, but it's probably the best cards in the game. Oh, it's the best cards in the game. That's a little bit
Yeah,
harder. Another thing is
but
they're
that's,
generally better, I guess, because they've played
yeah.
longer. So it's harder to get the 8 cubes or like the max cubes. So that's the
But
other.
that's I think that's fun though, right? Where you finally get to play the real game instead of just farming noobs.
It would be fun if I had the same cards they did, right? Like I hear you,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
the thing is, like they have the cards that I don't, so I can't really contest.
And
Like
how long does it take before you have those cards?
5-6 months if I free to play. It's just like
5 to 6
well,
months.
I guess
Jesus.
like I've already played for a month, so you cut a month or and a half off. So
So 4 months best case
yeah,
scenario.
4 months best case scenario. Yeah, if
All
I'm free
right.
to play. If I
You know,
wanna,
this Battlegrounds game is popping off. It's pretty good, yeah.
I hear you. I honestly I hear you. I might try that game out.
4 months is a long time, man. All right. Anyways, let's get to the first topic.
All right, let's move on here. First things first, we do have our esporter final tournament. So we've been having an esporter class this month or so, and it all culminates into a grand finals where they play against each other. And I finally get to say that my class is better than his. His class just gets destroyed. I mean that kind of thing. So that's gonna be pretty fun to see. It's on Sunday, so it's in 2 days. 9 a.m. CST. What's it on your time zone for the people
I
that
think it's 6 p.m.
6
So
p.m.
CT. Yeah.
All right, so that doesn't translate 1-to-1. By the way, listen to Shady's time. He's probably more accurate than I do, because that if it's 6 p.m. then it's probably 11 a.m. CST. Like that's how it translates. So maybe. But if you get here early, I mean, can't go wrong, Kobe.
Yeah, I have to 100. I have to, it's not a number or it's not a time that's seared into my head.
Okay,
I'd have to
mine
double check.
either.
All right, cool.
It's one of these two times.
It'll be around that time,
Yeah.
anyways. Like it can't be much different because I'm not around. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's super super fun. Looking forward to it.
yes.
It's been really fun teaching the classes. Like I had my final class on Thursday, so yeah, it was really good. Well, so what did you do for your final class?
What did I do for my final class?
Yeah,
I covered everything that wasn't big enough to put in the other classes. So the first class I kind of talked about general overview of playing the game. I had a maneuver game. Second overview, I went through like minion types and quests. Just like a big overview of that. Third class, I went through heroes, which is kind of like that one took too long. Like I was like, damn.
right.
I had to finish that one on the fourth class, like the work required.
Right.
I didn't go through it. I went through like, but there was more work. Like I didn't complete my presentation
Yeah.
on there. But the fourth one I did, and the fourth one was just like everything miscellaneous, positioning, maybe like dead people, tournament play, that kind of thing, mental game, all the little things that I think are important in the game. But like I can't make here we're just gonna talk about positioning for an hour. Like I don't think I could do that. Like, I mean I could, but like yeah, so that's what I did on the last one.
That makes sense. I did spend one of my sessions just talking about tech cards. Essentially just teaching people how to
That
scan.
sounds like you.
Yeah,
that actually does.
It's like these Collins guys, they're gonna go for like double dark gates. Doesn't matter. Just get golden selfs, get some poisons.
I told them these shitty guys, they're going like Leroy every game. You can actually just blow them up. They have no chance. So, we'll see.
We're doing some cool stuff. Yeah, my last session was essentially just a play along where we had a VOD and I did a lot of like pauses and ask, okay, what are we doing in this spot, guys? What are we doing here? What are we doing? So that was fun to get some insight as well and how people think about the turn and in return also give them some insight and how I'm mapping out my game and all. So
Yeah.
that was a fun way to close it out.
Yeah, I definitely did that more in the other sessions, like
VOD review.
the VOD
Right,
review, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, Sunday, sometime, around this time probably it should be going. So
Yeah, it should be going on.
yeah, so should be cool. Fortunately, there's also another tournament, but obviously not as interesting. We have the Lobby Legends final tournament.
Yeah, some people qualified.
Some
I
people
guess.
qualify. I think that one's tomorrow as well. So, definitely something interesting. Yeah. So
Saturday, Sunday.
mm-hmm.
But
So
the time
that's
is the time is like Korea time, so it's like midnight for me or so, or 2 a.m. or so.
yeah. I think it is. The time zone's more awkward, I guess, for both of us, right? Because it'd have to be.
That'd be a tough one to cast.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one to cast, but it is interesting. Some cool people in there. XD, Jake Carrick. Oh, Jake Carrick's in there. Wait a minute.
He was in my lobbies.
Oh, okay.
I have a sneaking suspicion that he was the high rolling Malagos in one of my games that wrecked me. I was like, I don't know for sure.
The one weird thing is like there's no one from NA in here.
How was that weird? That was last time as well. Right?
Come on, dude. I'm not like trying it now. There's no NA people. What happened? Like,
yeah, Collins, it's bad, man. It's bad. Yeah, that's a good amount of Europe in there.
Yeah, so it's a bit rough for the NA folks, but I mean that's how it always is. I think in these esports these days, NA kind of slackers. But still a lot of cool people and a lot of people you want to root for. So either way, it should be a fun one. It's the biggest one of the year, so
double prize support for this one. So absolutely gonna be watching the VODs, and that's definitely something we could do. Maybe my weekend's pretty crammed because we have the tournament as well. So, but maybe a Monday or a Tuesday thing.
Right.
If we're both around, we can watch the VODs together, cast it like that for the people that are interested, of course, in our point of view. But we can't do the live one this time.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make that work. For sure. But yeah, definitely something cool. A lot of tournaments going on this particular weekend, so it should be cool to cast or to see a couple of them. Moving on, we do have the patch. There was a patch, guys. Do you guys notice it? There was a patch. Patch day. So it's not like a pretty huge patch. We're definitely gonna go over the contents. I don't think that's gonna take too long. But glad
essentially. So
yeah, glad they're still like adjusting the game. I definitely know they slowed down on the holiday season. They don't really do too many changes. So this might be like I don't know, like it might be the last patch of the year in terms of like big changes or anything like that, where usually they have a patch on December and then they kind of wait till the next year because a lot of them take holiday breaks, right? Like they're not working on Christmas or anything like that. So I don't think you should expect too many changes from this point on until the new year essentially. But yeah, we can go over the actual patch if I remembered. Okay, cool. All right, so patch 25.0 launching tomorrow. It has some constructed changes, but we don't really care too much about that. What we care about is the BG stuff. So the following changes go live 29th. So we have a new hero, armor tier 1, so no armor. So usually that means they think this hero is good. The enhancification is its ability. It's a passive after each refresh. Give a minion in Bob's Tavern taunt, reborn, Wind Fury, or if you don't like any of those, you can also get Divine Shield. Now, are you a Divine Shield lover, Shady? Or not?
Yeah, this hero is so do you just want to dive straight into like experience?
I mean, it's not like there's too many changes, so yes, you can dive straight in.
So this one I think is fine-ish because it's so much RNG where so the instant problematic thing you think about
It's
is
Divine Shield, right? Like
Divine
giving
Shield
things
on
Divine
Murloc.
Shield
Yeah, Divine Shield
is.
on Murloc and reborning Leroy,
Whoa,
reborning
whoa,
Selfless.
whoa, whoa! Reborn's not that good. Lich King has Reborn, like it's not that
Yeah,
problematic.
and reborn
Who
Leroy is
even
awful
plays
on Lich
Lich
King,
King
right?
anymore? You know what I mean? It's
No,
not even that good of an ability.
no, it's the I think in the current iteration the hero has 0 armor. My very first game on him was so dirty because I had a no mech no beast lobby, so it was so good for poison, and then I just like rolled Divine Shield Murlocs, reborn the Leroy, right? So that was disgusting, but I think on average the hero probably doesn't perform as well just because 0 armor, pretty fragile. If you're not rolling Divine Shield early, if you're not rolling Reborn early, Wind Fury and Taunt don't really do anything for combat. So then effectively you're not really playing with a hero power early, and your quest is super difficult. So I've definitely seen a lot of Enhanced Mechanos die super early because it's like, well, difficult quest, kind of no hero power, right? But you can do nasty stuff here. You roll a couple shields early, huge tempo, you're good, you get a decent quest, then you go into the late game and then he takes over, right? So if you make it to the late game and you just roll some really good targets, it's possible. But I'd say on average, not the biggest fan right now. I was pretty big fan after my first game, and then I saw a lot of Enhanced Mechanos dying, and I played a bad game myself, and I'm like, yeah, I can see this being too risky at high MMR, because if it's bad, it's really bad, right? Because then it means that you rolled a bad quest. That's also really difficult to do, and you're like, oh my god, I'm dead. And then you're actually getting 7th or 8th. So I think in the current iteration with 0 armor, it's probably not problematic in like, oh my god, this thing is OP, but it creates certain situations that's probably shouldn't arrive. Like
Okay, so
reborn Selfless, reborn Leroy. Yeah.
yeah, so it has the potential for problematic outcomes. However, in its current iteration, a bit too risky. You can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna play this because it's a safe hero."
Yeah.
You can just roll nothing. You're guaranteed a bad quest, and then if you don't have any good start, any good synergy, you're just dead, and there's nothing really you can do to recover. So,
Yeah.
just
Pretty much.
that outcome of I could just lose. Like there's no hope
Yeah.
if it just rolls Taunt and Wind Fury all day. It
One
just makes
more.
it hard to say, oh, I like this hero as a high level player, because you just know on average, if you play like 4 games of it, you're gonna have a bad one in the 4, and a bad game is gonna wipe any positives you get.
Yeah, that kills the 3 good games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, that's our current
Yeah.
take there.
The quest, on the other
So
hand,
the
let's go to
quest
that one.
The
Yeah,
quest.
that
Okay,
one.
so they also added a new quest mechanic. Now, when you scroll, it looks like they added 5. They've only added 1. So the quest is
Yeah.
enhanced omatic. So this is just like, it feels like it's a remnant of this new hero. They made this new hero, then they're like, oh, this is a cool hero power. Let's make a quest off of it. That's how I feel like it went in their heads. So at the start of the turn,
And
you get an enhanced part that gives +5/5 and a random bonus. So every turn, once it activates, you're getting +5/+5, which is not bad. Like that's actually because it's targeted, right? You can target it.
yeah, so we will say Red Hand is 12/12, right? So
Right.
in terms of quests and stats, but obviously the effect is what we do it for. But yeah, you do get 5/5, and that's not irrelevant. But yeah, pure stats, Red Hand is more than double than that. So
Yeah, but also the thing about the issue, like that's not like always a plus, because with Red Hand, it's harder to put the bus on something you want, right? Like
sure,
if
you
you
can
want to
stack
stack like a
on things
deflecto,
you
you
do
need
not.
the Mexin and things like
Sure,
that, where you can just stack the same card
sure.
over and over and over without
Yeah,
really
this one's
caring.
also a more difficult quest from what I've seen, but yeah, no, it's. I mean, I'm with you in that.
Yeah.
It's an
Okay.
insanely good quest. I'm just saying that the 5/5 is, but yeah, it's annoying that you also get 5/5 on top of the effect,
Yeah.
because
And
the effect
then
is
you also
pretty
get
good.
a random bonus. So the random bonus is the same as the new hero bonuses. You can get Taunt, you can get Wind Fury. I don't know why Blazing Blade animation is for Wind Fury, right? Like that, like just like, but whatever. You can get Divine Shield,
Um,
and then you can
was
get
but
Reborn.
these are the spare parts, right?
Yeah,
From back in GVG.
yeah, yeah,
Was
yeah.
there a weekly spare part? I'm not sure.
Hmm?
I don't. Was there a Wind Fury spare part? I
No,
don't
there
think so.
wasn't. No, there
Yeah, so
wasn't.
they
This would
didn't
give,
make one, right?
yeah,
They said
Mega
like,
Horn would give taunt. That's correct. Blazing
yeah,
Blade would give attack, but
yeah.
now it also gives Wind Fury.
Mm,
Bunk Replay
the
would give
blade,
health, but now it gives
yeah,
Divine. And then Death
yeah,
Rewind would add it back to your hand, but now it gives
yeah.
Reborn. So
So I think that's just in good Blizzard fashion, where like, hey man,
reusing.
we're not gonna get new art for this shit. Which I'm fine with, but that's so Blizzard, right? Like if you play World of Warcraft, you see that everywhere, like reused icons and all that stuff. So very very Blizzard like to have the the spare parts just come back here. All right, yeah, this quest. So you might look at this and say, well, that's kind of like the hero, right? And the principle, yes, but in practice, no, it's leagues apart. Because first of all, these things are not spellcraft, so you can keep them. So
Oh,
that is huge. You can sit on one in your hand. So the one that is super dumb is Reborn, and Divine Shield is obviously also really good. So the two things that are super problematic are I can roll a Murloc, give a Divine Shield, and then Toxfin. We know that that's good.
but how
The
good is
other,
it, Shady?
yeah, but that's the bullshit we know, right? Like Divine Shield Murlocs, okay, I guess I'm gonna blaster it. Annoying, but it's like a George or an Ashara, not an Ashara, a Lady Vosh. So right, that's like the bullshit and you're like, okay, whatever. I guess I'll blaster this stupid thing. But then the Reborn one. Reborn Selfless, Reborn Baron, Reborn Leroy, Reborn Queen. There's no counter to that. Like you can counter Reborn Leroy because it also gives you a 5/5, so it doesn't even die to blaster anymore.
So
Like you gotta actually, yeah, it's
I
so
did
dumb.
make a screen for this. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I definitely think this is kind of the feeling you get when you when you play with this. You're like, come on, Blizzard! Like, how many times do you have to understand? You don't give things to reborn the things that shouldn't get reborn, but they've
Yeah.
done it again. And
Yeah, that is the thing where you have to go through that process where I did this bit on my streamer, like, so Reborn Maxna was a problem. Yep. And Leroy is a better Maxna. Yep. So we're giving Reborn to Leroy. Yep. And
that's another
yeah,
good meme I could have used.
right, yeah. And we don't see a problem with that. Nope. Right. It's like, okay. Like that is because
SpongeBob has everything.
yeah, exactly. It's a great source for memes because like Leroy, to put it in perspective, right? Like Maxna Reborn was dominant in its time. Like every end game board
hmm
would have two of these babies. So Leroy is a better Max now because it kills through Divine Shield, right? You can taunt it to kill the Flectobots. You can throw it into perfect ball of minions, and then it just comes back, and then it kills the next thing it touches. And it's just so nasty, and it just feels like we can't really even call it an oversight because there's just no way that they didn't think of, hey, this reborn spare part should we like make that untargetable for neutrals? Like, who's really gonna
Once
reborn?
again, I think they just wanted to put in new content. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the holiday season. I feel like they're just like, we have a new hero. It seems okay. Let's make a new quest from the new hero, and let's it's not like thought through. Because I even think you could not even give it stats the quest and you would still be playing. Just like
It's the thing there is then your mid game's so weak.
yeah,
Where
you'd have to make the quest easier, right? That would be the
yeah, you'd have to make it real easy because like you hit a taunt one and you're like,
wow.
all
But
right, let's like
but the thing is, the
turn it
power
into
level between like Reborn and Taunt is like so wide, right? Like in terms of like, with this Reborn I could win the game. This Taunt I can't really do anything. Too much. It's already occurred in the game, so.
Mm. So we have a comment here. Is like the odds that you get more than 2 reborns is pretty low. I don't know. 1 reborn Leroy is already enough to almost guarantee you a win in the end game. right? Where we've had this a lot of the time where if you fight against Lich King and you're both on even footing, Lich King wins because of Reborn.
Yeah, and
Right?
it's also like Divine Shield is quite good. Like you were just ignoring
It's
Divine
okay.
Shield, like
Yeah.
it's a bad hit. You can like 50% of it is really strong. Like that's not
Yeah.
the fight. Like oh, Reborn is like the only thing problematic here. Divine Shield is also very very impactful
Very,
in the
very
game.
strong.
So
Yeah, super strong.
it's
Yeah, I
not
gave
it's
my
not a
Baron
25er.
my Baron got +5/+5 in Divine Shields. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then I reborn my Selfless. I was like, oh boy, this is so toxic. Like for like honest for like almost the whole game, I was playing Illidan, right? And my whole board was basically revolving around buffing one Poison Swolefin because I just didn't have other units. So I had like 2 Macaws, 2 Selfless, Baron, and then like a random Sarlisk. But because it was Illidan, I could put my Poison Murloc in the back with the Divine Shield. So it would always kill something, and then the other stuff would just keep re-Divine Shielding it.
I should get that clip. That sounds like a lot of effort. But I could like.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We can but most people listen anyway, right? We don't have to.
That's fair. There's a clip somewhere up.
Yeah. So
but,
it's pretty silly.
Yeah, but overall, like the takeaway is like I do think that this quest is a bit too strong. Well, a bit is too nice. It's too strong, right? Like, and
yeah. Go ahead, please.
It breaks the game in a weird way that I don't think is very balanced for the people that are playing against it, where it doesn't really feel like you're losing in a justified manner. Thank you, brain.
Yeah.
Oh God, eventually it starts working.
And, like the loading symbol, like your brain coming online.
So I definitely think this, like, I don't think I would want this to stay in the game in the way it is, right? Like that's my kind of
the issue is that it's one of those things that can be balanced on average and still be stupid because it's like in that same category as Lich, where Lich could be balanced on win rates but still stupid because you deal so much damage to certain people. Same thing here, where let's say this is balanced in terms of win rate. I'm not saying it is, but let's say it would be, right? It comes back on the numbers and they're like, oh, this quest is performing about average. That's fine. Just the fact that you run into Reborn Leroy and Poison Divine Shields and stuff, it just decreases the level of enjoyment of the opponents. Like, and that is such, because I had like the uninstaller, right? I had that game where I'm like, this is because, dude, like that was actually my worst game probably in the last couple months, where on turn 5, Lich B has a Fellbat on our board.
Seems balanced.
That's faster than Ult Shudderwalk. That's faster than the most broken crap we had so far. She beats Shudderwalk by a fucking turn. That's saying something, right? Holy shit. All right. So as you do, I face her, 2 turns later, because that's what we do. So I take 8 from the first Fellbat, 15 from the other fight. And then my next opponent has fucking Reborn Leroy, other Leroy, and Divine Shield Poison Murloc. And I die because I have like a Battle Master. I had to go all in. And I'm just sitting there like, so take 8 from Lich, take 15 from Lich, fight Reborn Leroy, die. And I'm just like, that was a great experience. Thank you, minus 120. That was totally my own fault.
I don't even know how you outplay that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little tilted, so I probably could have done things better.
Shady.
But in the end, I'm talking like maybe I can survive that Leroy board with like 2 health or some shit, right? I'm never gonna have a good game.
And then you're dead the next turn.
And then I'm
dead
the point? Right? So, yeah, so the point there is that my game is always bad because I fight Lich and the person with this quest. And that was just the thing where even if things are balanced in terms of win rate, it can still be really bad for your game if people just absolutely detest playing against it. And I just haven't really seen people being like, oh man, I love fighting Lich. Turn 5, it's like, oh man, that minus 15 makes me feel alive. It's just It's just so bad that it's like clockwork. You could say, oh, I'm fighting Lich. Well, guess I'm going to get destroyed here. So yeah, it's just, yeah, that game was special, man. That was because normally it's just the Lich that's shitting on me, but now there was like a Reborn Leroy board on top of that. And I'm like, thank you, game. That's what I needed right now.
Yeah,
Kicking me while I'm down. Yeah.
and I do want to say, like, the other, like, taunt isn't useless. It's obviously the worst one because you can get taunt in other ways, but also Wind Fury is not useless, right? 5/5 Wind Fury,
Yeah.
like
That's
that.
like a 7 damage Hydra out of the box.
7 damage Hydra off the gate, like that is not ignorable. And then the Wind Fury is permanent, right? So it's not like, oh, I have this Wind Fury one turn. You just have this permanent Wind Fury Hydra that you can keep buffing, keep giving more stats. Like, give a Divine Shield lead next turn, right? Like, oh, now you have a 15 attack Divine Shield Wind Fury Hydra permanent. Like, that's not okay. And then, like, at some point you give it Reborn because you're a masochist or whatever. Like, I don't know, you just want the 5/5 or whatever. But,
yeah, I mean, at some point you just start reborning for damage as well, right? Where you're just like, all right, well, because like Reborn Queen is so stupid, right? Because if it's a tiebreaker, you take 11 or 12. it's like, oh, right, it's a tie. Oh, never mind, you take 11, you're dead.
Yeah, it's not the fairest thing in the world. But yeah, definitely think that is a pretty interesting change, and I don't know, like, maybe they're gonna or like adjust this in like a previous patch if the numbers are like very skewed. But if the numbers like balance, it's likely this is gonna stick around till the next
till too long, basically.
Yeah, for too long. But yeah, I guess that's the way to look at it.
We're gonna get Divine Shield Barons, Reborn Selfless, Reborn Leroy's, and especially at high level gameplay, people know, right, to not waste it or to understand when they can hold it. Because once you have a Reborn part, like just pushing 5, like let's say Beasts are in, like you could just like, oh, I guess I'll just Reborn this Baby Crush. I didn't hit the Leroy, right? It's not useless. So like once you have the Reborn part, pushing 5 is definitely an option because there's a lot of shit there that you could just hit.
Yeah, but after that, those are the only 2 changes. So no armor changes, which is usually surprising to me. I feel like you can always change the armor. Like it's not like always perfectly balanced. I always feel like, oh, you could tweak it one way or the other. But no armor changes, no other minion changes. Definitely feels like a lazier patch to me. I'm gonna be honest. That's how I feel.
I think this is something they also just mentioned, that they sort of have them kind of spread apart where they might already have this ready, and it's just like just to make sure there's some kind of, because they could also dump all of it at one and then just have a longer time with no patches. So this is, I think, definitely something they do deliberately to just keep some kind of patch going, but they do have their large content patches, and then the other ones are just going to be small ones where the rest of the changes are spread among those.
I see what you're saying. So like they already had this in the works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's sort of what's going on, where they're not throwing everything at once at us. Where in the big patches they do, right, where it's the huge changes, and then like quests, right, that was everything. That was a huge revamp with like Icky Imp going, Amalgadon going, and like so much going on. But the other patches, well, not all of them, we do have some bigger ones, like because we had like one where they introduced like Hidden Vault and all that.
Yeah, I think that was the last big one for
but then there are definitely just some patches that they could have also not been there, but it's just better, I think they reckon, to have some patch at some point. But those are then these patches where it's essentially something that could have been slapped on the previous one. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I think it's also good for them to have that time so that they can also do fixes. Like for instance, the Macaw was bugged where it wouldn't trigger on Golden Selfless. So your Golden Macaw and Golden Selfless would produce 2 shields instead of 4. And that's been fixed now. So yeah, so it's not just the fix. Then they have their patch, and then they also throw the fixes out behind that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. All right, and then we have one final thing I did want to talk about as well. So just kind of a review for this, I guess, season, because I personally don't think they're going to be doing more patches.
Yeah.
So this is kind
No
of like the
math.
last patch in my head for BGs for this season. And then next season there will be like a completely new reset. They're going to reset the MMR. They're going to reset the Battlegrounds Pass, I assume, right? So we're going to have new stuff
Yeah.
there. So
I'm, I'm
essentially,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's no like small patch like this in the wings
maybe,
anymore.
yeah,
But yeah, no,
maybe they'll do
no
a
big
small
patch.
patch,
Yeah.
but it won't be a big patch, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
No more big patches
yeah.
until next season. So.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to go through the overview of like how we felt for this first season 2, right? Because that's what they called it for
Yeah.
for this, and this is a season with the runestones. You know, it kind of feels like a long time ago. I don't know about you, but like it feels like, oh, that was a while back.
I think it's both for me where things are blurring together. I'm like, oh wow, that feels like it was not a long time, but at the same time, it's like, when was it? Right, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So it all just kind of melts together for me. So I don't really have the feeling of, oh, that was just now, or oh, that was ages ago. It's just like it's been one experience, if that makes sense.
One big blur. Yeah.
One big blur of stuff. Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to, get your opinion, I guess, and my opinion as well. Like, how's it felt with this change? I know one thing they did talk about was they wanted to make picking 4 heroes more of optionality than power. And I will
Yeah.
say, like, they did a good job on this one. Like,
We didn't think it could be done,
I
right?
did
But
think
yeah,
it could be done. No, I
but
didn't.
it's such a clean thing. So we have talked about this numerous times, right? So the elephant in the room is, well, what when quests go away? So do they have something ready to take
Right.
over
Right.
to do this kind of balancing? But right now, in the current iteration of the game, hero balance is, I mean, it's never
It's,
been better, I guess.
yeah, I think it's probably the best it's been.
Just to throw out, right, this fact. Currently, the number 4 in Europe is playing with 2 heroes. That's top 5 best, highest ranked players in Europe is playing without perks. My Smurf account is now 16th in Europe, also only playing with 2. And if we go to NA, I know Wobble Wheezy doesn't play with perks, and he was 15k. So I'm not sure where he's at right now. If I just can't see him, or if he's had a bad day. I hope it's not a bad day. But
It's
anyways,
the perks, Sadie. Here,
oh my god, he's 14.2. I said 2 earlier. He was 15k earlier. Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. That's got nothing to do with the perks, ladies and
but
gentlemen.
yesterday he was 15k, and
Yeah. No, that's, oh man. At
but
one point
still,
he
like
stopped
that's
doing.
still really good. Like
It's insane.
it
Right?
still proves the point in that you
Yeah,
can play without the perks.
that's not something we would see before this patch,
No.
before the quest patch, right?
No.
There's like, I'm rank 4 in Europe. Also, I only play with 2 heroes.
Right.
So sometimes I get like old Rat King and Wag Toggle, and then I'm, probably top 5 most or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah. So to just come back to the point, uh, in this current iteration of the game, they've done it where you do not feel the difference nearly as much as we used to feel. Where before 2 heroes was just, ugh, you really didn't want to be doing that, and right now it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll play whatever.
Now, I would say like that's like the best thing in terms of like the changes, but in terms of the other changes, I haven't really felt like Runestones have done much. I guess in terms of like, oh, we've paid for the game, so now everything's cleaner. There are still bugs. There's still issues. Things. There isn't like the content cycle isn't bigger, I guess, or different. That could be argued where they were already making big content cycles, so it stayed the same. And I would say that it has stayed the same in essence. So like maybe it's already like the Runestone changes were already baked into how much content they were doing before. So instead of it decreasing, it just stayed the same. And that's like, oh yeah, because we already knew Runestones were going to happen, so we were already putting out large content before, so it didn't change. It didn't get smaller. That's that's the impact of runestones or blah blah blah. But like for me, as like if I were a casual player and I'm just like, oh, runestone happened, how did the game get massively better? I'd be like, I didn't really notice. I didn't really feel any big changes from having the runestones in or paying for the passes essentially. So, I definitely do think some people are tired of this patch. Like they want things to happen. They want more content. Like they've played Quest for a while and they're like, oh, I want something new. So some people do like this patch. They think it's one of the best, like one of the better patches. I do think it's definitely one of the better shakeups for Hearts for the BG. But like some people are like, oh, I paid for the pass. Where is my constant updates? That kind of thing. And it's just like, I wanted to know what your thoughts on that was, in terms of like, how do you feel about the runestones and like how has the game felt after it? Like, has it felt different?
Yeah.
Has it felt the same? Has it felt like a
It's
little bit worse?
it's a fair question. So this is one that's obviously going to be different for different people.
Yes.
I am by nature, I guess, a little bit more conservative in that.
You've been used to the arena cycle where they just slap you silly. Like when Sungler said that, I was like, that is so true.
So I don't want to say like consciously yes, but who knows, right? So for me, I think it's more that I guess you could call myself maybe a more boring player where I get enough enjoyment, or maybe a large part of my enjoyment in getting the small things right. Like really mapping out a meta. What am I doing here? What's my curve? Which heroes do I want to do, right? And in this current iteration of the game where quests add such a whole big layer to the game, I'm not nearly done with that yet, where I feel like, okay, well, I figured it out, send in the next patch. And I do understand that not everybody, or very few people, I guess, treat the game in that way, where they're more relying on the game giving them new stuff to keep engaged. Whereas I am fine with new stuff. I still enjoy learning new stuff, but I also really enjoy getting better at established metas. So that is not a big problem for me. Also, Cartman, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Mid podcast shout out. Appreciate that. The other part of the question, right, is so we've been paying for the game now. Is the game drastically better than before? That's also got, I'd say, a few components. I'd say the two main ones is, for me, yes, because I just think that quests are so insanely good and the hero balance is so good that, for me, from an experience point of view, yeah, I think the game is way better. Now, you can also definitely look at the game and say, buddies were kind of like quests, and they didn't really fix the hero balance. The quest is just a band-aid. And I definitely don't want to dismiss that argument. The reality is that the quest fix in terms of hero balance is here. So heroes are balanced right now. For me, the really interesting part is, what is the next iteration of the game going to look like? And are they going to be able to take the hero balance that they have right now into the next patch? If the answer to that is yes, then I think it's justified. I think that we are getting bang for our buck, because just think about what the number one complaint was forever. It's like, why are there so many shitty heroes in the pool? Why are there so many shitty heroes?
Why is death rattle minions dealing full damage? That's the
I was gonna. I knew you were gonna say that one, but I'd say it on a larger scale, right? It's the hero.
Sure. Okay, fine.
So I think if they, in the next iteration of the game, they can keep the balance that they have right now, then I think it's been a success. Where the game, like that was, I think, the major big complaint for a lot of people. But I do also understand that, especially for content creators, not that I'm not a content creator, but that they need a little bit more sort of new toys, I guess.
They need excitement, right? They need a reason for you to come and check it out.
Yeah, I can't show my audience, another poison Murloc board over and over and over
Here's
again.
Poison Murloc Day 25. Hey, when you go watch this, like,
Well, to go on a slight tangent here, not too far. I have been winning a lot of no mech, no beast lobbies without poison, where I'm just playing pure stats and just out tempoing a lot of the Murloc boards. And then if a Murloc player makes it to the end, I usually have some precautions where, let's say I'm playing Quills, I've got like 1 or 2 Divine Shield Quills already. And then, I can just run the Selfless and the Baron or Leroy or Manted. Or let's say I'm playing Demons, I'm going to have like only 3 demons on my board or so, like the double Falbat Trickster, and then the rest can still be Manted and Leroy and all that. So I think that if you accept, like, well, it's a Murloc meta, we're going to play Murlocs, blah, 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 blah. That's not to say that Murlocs aren't strong and that I don't play Murloc myself. I just want to say that if you close your mind to it, where you say, well, 100% going to play Murlocs, everybody's going to poison, then the game does become less fun because you're going to close your mind to a lot of cool boards. I've been playing like shaker builds and stuff in those lobbies, and I've just been like,
you're giving 15k MMR advice, and I don't know how well that's gonna translate.
Yeah. I just want to say that it's absolutely possible, but yeah, obviously it requires a high skill level and understanding of the meta. It's a lot easier to just slap Murlocs on your board and poison them than to say I'm gonna make some really cool plays and I'm gonna counter your poison bullshit.
Yeah, it's so hard because like when people are like, it's a Murloc meta and you can't do anything else. My instant reaction is like, well, you can do a ton of other things. But then I also think like, I can't tell them like, go play this comp and it'll be Murloc. No, it won't. You have to actually like. There's so much more work required to deal with the Murloc setup than to just play the Murloc setup yourself. So it's hard to disagree with their point. In essence, like Murlocs are just the safest thing to do if you don't know how to make other compositions. If you make a Murloc point, you're fine.
That they're I wouldn't say that they're the safest thing to do, because I do think you see a lot of people that are trying to get that like Toxfin setup just die because they're not hitting.
But if you hit Shady, that's what I'm saying. It's quite safe.
Yes, once you have it. I did want to point that out, where I do see a lot of people in, especially those no beast, no mech lobbies, they'll just like make a beeline for the poison comp and see so many 7 and 8 plays board with like some shitty Murlocs on the board and they're just dead. Because like you skipped the mid game, buddy. You gotta do where's your Peggy? Where's your whatever, right? Just have something on your board. Like you can't just skip the mid game.
They ignore those games. They just think about the games where they don't.
It never happens.
Yeah.
Every poison scammer ever gets a first place. I've seen it. I know it. I feel it in my bones.
And to be fair, like the poison games might be the games where they're getting first, so they're the ones that are more memorable. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'm sure.
Usually it's like, ooh, I can't win unless I don't ever win unless I'm playing Murloc. So I guess Murlocs are the best, right? That might be their experience.
Yeah. And they're not weak. I think, especially given that Honcho is a card. So many games I just get 2 Honchos and I start spamming Murlocs, and you kind of get around the mid game weakness with Honcho, and then eventually you get Toxfins and stuff. So I'm definitely not saying here that Murlocs are weak. I'm just saying that if you close your mind to other options, then obviously you're gonna feel like you have to force Murloc. Then you're gonna get frustrated because you don't hit it and other people do, and you're gonna say, well, what a shitty meta, it's a Murloc meta, blah 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 blah. So yeah, that was my side tangent. We can get back on the main points. Just to close off my opinion, the TLDR for me is, yes, I actually think the game improved drastically just from a pure experience point, just because just being able to take a free to play account into the top 16 for me is like, that's crazy, man. That shouldn't be possible, or maybe not shouldn't, but that would not have been possible before this patch. And quests for me have been super fun. It's been very successful for me. But yeah, personal opinion, of course.
And I wanted to just throw in the complainer opinion, or the other side. In essence, like, I don't mind quest meta, but I wouldn't say I particularly enjoy it, like, it's my favorite meta or anything like that. I didn't make lobby legends in quest meta, you know what I mean? So obviously this is the worst meta, period. Because that's how I justify whether metas are good or bad. Honestly, that's not even a joke. But
hey, at least you're honest about it.
But
that's good.
I do think, like, if you are a casual player and you you heard the news, oh, you have to pay for perks, and you've been playing, and then you kind of feel this passion. I don't think you'll come out thinking, oh wow, this was bang for my buck. You might come out saying, oh, I don't like this Murloc meta, or you might come out saying, I didn't notice a difference. Like I paid money, no difference. It feels the same as previous, and that's not really the feeling I think you want to be giving out. Right? I definitely think you want the players to be like, oh yeah, this was worth the investment, right? Because it's not like a one-time thing, right? Once new um the new season rolls around, then you're gonna have to pay again, right? And you want people to be like, well, the last season it felt worth. Whereas like they did say they were gonna be giving out more free BG content, and we did have the Battle Bash, but that was really I feel like that was really the only like main like free content you got, and there was really only one thing that you got, because a lot of the other content you did have to buy the season pass to get. I don't know if there were some free rewards in the season track. I guess there was, right? There has to be, but those are usually like emotes and stuff, and it, you don't like you don't really care. At least for me.
We call that fluff. Right?
Yeah, I don't care about the emotes. Like I use them once every like 10 games. Like that doesn't matter to me. So
see which emote is. Hey buddy, hold your cards.
Yeah,
hold
so
cards.
I don't really feel like I was getting like a ton of like free BG content or anything like that.
I do want to chime in and say like devil's advocate thing here is that what if that is also just the first cycle where they now have the money and it's now being put towards where maybe this was not.
Well, then they have to show us, right? Because they always say stuff like we always say stuff like that. Oh, they're working on tournament mode. They're working on this content. They're fixing the bugs, and then it doesn't happen.
See where you judge it by the next cycle, where the money is now.
But we will have to pay for the next one, right? Like, and I'm wondering, like, if you're a casual player now, like, are you thinking, I've gotten enough reward to just like commit and hope that the next one's gonna be better?
So you're saying, to reply to the the devil's advocate stance, is that should have then already been
in there.
taken into account, and the first one should have been big enough to definitely give people the idea.
The first one should be the best one in terms of like, oh my god, I got so much stuff. I'm definitely gonna do it for the next one. You don't want them to be like, I'm not sure if it was worth it here. Like that's not the feeling you want. You give players. You want to make sure like they come out memorable. Like, I remember this. This was great. This was great. This was great. Of course, I'm gonna get it.
For me, quests was that, right? But no, you can go back to your. Sorry, I chimed in there. Just.
I'm saying like if you don't like the meta because you think it's more like based or so blah blah blah, then you're not gonna get that feeling. Whereas, if you do like the meta, you do like the stuff, it's gonna feel a lot easier. But I don't think everyone is. Like I read stuff on Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that. And, it's not like, oh, this is unanimously great. There's all these people. I mean, they always make complaints, but like there are some like justifiable complaints in terms of like the things not changing and whatnot. So I just wanted to toss it out, right? It doesn't, at least for me, it doesn't really feel like things change dramatically because of the Runestone edition and paying for the passes and whatnot. So I'm just kind of wondering, what does the next season look like? Does it get better? Do you get more content, or is it going to be more of the same? Because if it's more of the same and it lasts for like the next 2 seasons, right? It's gonna be harder and harder and harder to justify. Oh, let's do more, because it doesn't feel like the money you're spending is translating directly one for one into like new stuff. So that's my fear, at least as a content creator, person who loves the game. Like, I hope it's a lot easier to say, oh, they did this. I do think they did a good job in terms of like the hero balance, right? Because that's the main issue. Because the main issue, I guess, for the past was that perks are in the past, right? That's the main issue. And now you have to pay for the perks, essentially. If you don't care about the cosmetics, whatever, like, then the past doesn't matter. But if you care about playing 4 heroes, then the past does matter. But I think they did a good job in this one, where you don't need the perks in this meta. And that's like the one caveat. Like, it's definitely more fun to have more options. But as you said, there are a lot of people that have done well without the perks, so it's not like guaranteed. But can they translate that into the next season? And that sounds extremely difficult. So that's
Yeah.
like the one caveat where it's like, oh, good job, but like you have to do it every time now.
Yeah, right. The shitty heroes better stay good. So you better have something ready.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, I really, really, I think that is what will make or break it. Yeah. But, it puts a lot of pressure on them, of course. Where that's sometimes the burden of success, where you create this really good system, and it's like, well, we're kind of used to every hero being playable now. Don't take that away, right? So, yeah.
And we don't know like what their plans is for the future. So, if they tell us, oh, we have a new system that's going to be just as good, then you get hyped. But that they don't like doing that. I would say like it's not like tell us what's going to happen next season. We're not going to commit to anything. So kind of interesting. But that's kind of what I want to talk about. Whether it felt like the runestones were justified, I guess, and the answer to that can depend on how you experience the game over the season. Personally, like, I don't know, like I didn't really notice it too much, like whether the game changed or not. It kind of felt like more of an old season, so that's not necessarily a bad thing in essence, but it's not like, oh, runestones, boom, the game is like very fancy now. There's no bugs or anything, like then I would be like, oh, okay, good job. They fixed the bugs. Oh, okay. But other than that, it just feels like kind of good for me. So I'm okay with it. But I do think there's a big caveat for this next season and making sure that things work out well. But yeah, that's really all I had, I guess, for this particular podcast. I mean, unless you want to talk about Lich B again, like nerf this.
I think I successfully snuck it in, but yes, awful design, completely uninteractive, terrible to play against at high MMR. Please remove K. Thanks, bye.
Please remove Lich Bazal.
Yeah, it's God. Or I will settle for nerf into the ground. Make 0 armor or something. Just give her a hard quest so she dies literally every time, so people stop taking her. It's been rough, man. Yeah. But other than that, loving the game. Like Lich B and Reborn Leroy's, those are my two problems right now. So problem is if you play all day, then you face those problems a few times a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to balance this one in the way it is, because you go higher tier more quicker than everyone else, and then you get to buy the higher tier minions before other people, so you're dealing damage to people before they have a chance to respond. So it's just a hard one to balance.
It's the philosophy, right? It's the same thing with Shutterwalk, early access to high tier minions. Same thing with Whack Toggle or Togwaggle to an extent, where early access to a full tier 3 shop, and then again, in its unnerved state where it was hero power into hero power.
Yeah.
So it's just a recurring trend. If you give heroes reliable access to high star minions early in the game, you're going to create a very bad experience for other people.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Reliably giving people a lot of high star minions early means everyone else takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because there was that opposite meta where people had reliable stats on low tier, right? Where the Wag Toggle, where the Lich Bazal as well.
Lich was a Weaver and but yeah, as annoying as that might be, that's late game that starts being annoying, right? Where you're like, oh, these people just roach their way through the game, staying on 1, and they get top 4. But they don't really ruin your game when you hit them early. No. If anything, you're like,
they make your game better. Yeah,
it's like I take a little less here. Like I'm just gonna take 6 or so. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I'd rather have more, preferably neither, right? But I know it's obviously hard to ask for. Like, no, not too many stars, and not too little as well. Just keep it balanced. Keep it in the Goldilocks zone where it's just right. Or they're not too much of a tier 1 Andy, but they also don't get a 6-drop on turn 5. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so it's rough. It's hard. I don't know. Like, the more heroes you create, right, the more likely one of them does this. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, you can't keep them all the same, right? So you want them to do different things.
Yeah. So it's just a bit rough, but hopefully things get better. I don't know how to say this. Maybe they delete this hero from the game. I don't mind it, but like it's like
I want to repeat that, right? Because it's so easy to just harp on the negative stuff, where I do think for me personally, right, this is the best iteration of the game I've played so far.
I'm gonna say no, but you know my biases.
You didn't apply yourself,
Collins. I did it. I agree. I did it. I agree with that, but still.
No, but anyways, just to point out, overall for me the meta was big success, love it, but it's still, that doesn't mean that we're not going to point out the things that we feel that could be better. That's essentially our job. So yeah, there we go. All right, Collins, send us off. I have to sleep. I have a few hours.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you for joining us here today. I'll see you guys in the next one. You can find us at HSBG Podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us at Educatedcollins or Shady Bunny on Twitch, Twitter, that kind of thing. Hope you guys had a wonderful day, enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Shady.
Have a good time, everyone. See you next time.
All right.